You're listening to Young People Lead, a podcast brought to you by Children's Defense Fund. This season is called Bridging LA and features our Children's Defense Fund California Radical Imagination Fellows. You'll hear real stories, real challenges, and real solutions from foster and transition age youth in Los Angeles as they seek to push back against stereotypes and bring awareness. On this episode, young leaders with lived experience in foster care and youth homelessness speak candidly during Children's Defense Fund California's recent Child Watch Forum in Los Angeles. They discuss what it means to be heard, believed, and empowered within systems that often fail them.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karina. Today I'm here with the Radical Imagination Fellowship. I have the chance to do storytelling, podcasts, see a little bit of the Child Watch, everything with foster youth and transitional age youth. Today I have the honor of being a moderate for the panelists and just lifting up the voices. So we have three panelists, and they're incredible leaders who bring experience, passion, and vision to the foster youth and transitional age youth. So I want to start off with introductions. We have Elijah Washington would be our first panelist. So Elijah Washington is a passionate young adult advocate, freedom fighter, and a change marker dedicated to uplifting youth and addressing system issues surrounding youth homelessness. Drawing from her own lived experience, Elijah has used her voice to champion equality, resilience, and employment for the next generation. Beyond her advocacy, she is also a self-taught chef. And she's currently pursuing her nursing degree, bringing a powerful perspective at the healthcare, lived experience, and leadership. So please, another round of applause for Elijah. For our next panelist, we have Shaquan. So Shaquan, who serves as a young programs assistant for the Brother Son Selves Coalition, where he works with 8 Los Angeles County nonprofits. Shaquan's work is deeply rooted in nonprofits, social justice, and advocacy for alternatives to criminalization and school suspensions to uplift boys and men of color. His dedication began when he was nearly 13 years old, when he was inspired to step into youth organizing, and since he's been consistent voice for empowerment and change, let's give another round of applause for Shaquan. And lastly, our last panelist is Perla. So Perla is a non-binary activist and a community leader who has been advocating for a lot of youth for over 4 years. Their work center of equality, mental health, LGBTQ+, identified and systems of care for homeless youth. Through grassroots organizing, policy advocacy, and building partnership, Perla has created spaces where young people have affirmed, supported, and been seen. Their leadership reflects resilience, compassion, and vision for justice rooted in lived experience. Let's give another round of applause for Perla. So now we will get to know the panelists a little bit more, asking them a little questions about themselves. I want to start off with Asia. If you can answer, what is one moment in your journey that shaped how you would see foster or transitional age youth in the system today? I mean, if anyone wants to answer, you go ahead too. Can you repeat the question? Yes. What is one moment in your journey that shaped how you see the foster care or transitional age youth system today?
Okay. Hello. I think one of the biggest moments is when I finally felt like providers were listening to me. So I have foster youth experience, and I also have homeless youth experience, so I have those intersecting identities. I didn't really get a lot of support in foster care. That journey is kind of like blacked out for me. I think a lot of my support really was in the homeless system. I got services out here in Los Angeles, and there was this time when YHTP funding came down. If you're not familiar with that, that's 1.4 million that Los Angeles was awarded back in 2022. And we were involved, they had a few young people involved in allocating funds, where they wanted the funds to go, what they wanted the funds to do for us. And that's the first time where I really felt like my voice made an impact in something. We got to incorporate a peer regional coordinator. Regional coordinators are, you know, the people that oversee all the young people and do a lot of like managing what's happening in the system. And we got that to be a person with lived experience. Actually, one of my best friends who got me into the system is the peer regional coordinator now. Mm-hmm. And we got to implement a whole new type of housing prototype. And I actually was the first person that got accepted into that program, which was amazing. Thank you. I now have been housed for almost a year, so shout out. But that was definitely one of the first times where people really listened and didn't just listen and tokenize me and have me in a space just to have me in a space, but the things that we implemented, the things that we said wanted to be done actually got done. They're still happening. It's 4 years later and it's still happening. And from there, I co-founded my own youth action board alongside providers that helped us get there, helped us get the funding. So that was the really big impact in finding my housing, finding my advocacy leadership, and really just being seen as a human and not a number again.
Thank you for that, Parker. Okay, now, if anyone wants to answer, but Shaquan, if you could redesign one part of the foster care or transitional system, what would it look like?
Well, okay. For me specifically, I'm gonna try to wind it up, but the one problem, especially because I would say, I particularly wouldn't remember what it was called, but it's like family foster care. So my great aunt took me in as her foster. She basically was my foster mother. And I'm like, well, my experience with her was a lot more better than the experience that I get when it comes down to my siblings. So I think like a lot of the change I'm doing is a reflection of my siblings. So I'm the oldest of seven kids. And when particularly I was lucky because of my aunt being able to do that, but they weren't because she didn't have enough space and even enough time to take care of all of them at once. So one particular problem that arise, especially because I was in foster care for roughly 3 years, so between 10 to 13. My youngest sister was placed in a foster care home in Utah, and she was only one. And this young foster care woman decided to perm her hair to match the other children she had. This is it was a white woman, and I have nothing against my PCOs, but but it's even the factor of like her doing that because there was already underlying bullying within her own city about her taking in a foster child that wasn't of her color. Well, and like her abiding to that and allowing is like, well, I know a lot of people have a problem with my black foster child having curly hair when it comes down to her showing up to church. So I'm going to perm her hair than match some other foster care kids because it gives more better reflection for me. So I'm like, honestly, I feel like just the stereotype of just like people giving into just overall racism or homophobia throughout this. It's an influx. I think it's the one issue that needs to be addressed at the very beginning when it comes down to pitting youth inside foster care homes. But it's a long list of other ways because like my other siblings have their own experiences and that kind of reflect on who they are today. Yeah. But I could be here all day about this. We ain't got all that time, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you for that. That was Okay, hopefully we can hear from Malaysia. Can you share a time when a system either uplifted or failed you? And what do you wish had been a little bit different?
I would just speak to my lived experience when I say that I don't have foster care background. So entering the homeless, well, basically, okay, so I became homeless at 18 in 2018. And I was homeless for about 5 years. I finally got housing in 2023, but I would just speak to that and just say thank you. I'm very privileged and very fortunate for that. But I would just speak to that and just say that like there were not a lot of resources for those who are not foster care. There are already not a lot of resources, but there are not a lot of resources for those that are not foster care youth. So basically there were a lot of programs that I did go to that would just be like, well, we are we serve foster care youth, and so you don't qualify for this, but I can refer you to this program, or we can give you another resource. So like it was a lot of bouncing around in that aspect. I will speak to how I navigated that, and I finally did come upon a program where it was able to serve me and able to provide me resources, which is the program that I advocate for now, which is called Sanctuary of Hope. And yeah, they have been a very big part of my life and just my upliftment and empowerment as a young adult and someone who navigated like system navigation, basically, because they have just poured into me and provided me with so many resources so that I'm able to come up here and speak to you guys and come to these types of events where I can be an advocate and speak to what I've been through and basically come out of it and tell my story. So that's the beauty in it.
Thank you for that.
Is it okay if I respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't really like mics. I'm struggling. I think like kind of like what you're saying, like for me, it reminded me of like how much self-case management we have to do. And I think that's a really big problem in the system, in all systems of any types of systems impact, whether you're, former foster, current foster, homeless youth, juvenile justice, anything having to do with the systems impacted youth. There's so much self-case management or peer case management involved because sometimes it's just honestly due to a lack of knowledge that our system providers have and the people that hold power have, or the people that are supposed to case manage us have. I noticed like a lot of my peers struggle with like, gatekeeping. Gatekeeping information is sadly a part of the reality that a lot of us deal with. But I also noticed being an advocate in the space while receiving services, like literally living in a shelter while being like an advocate that, does housing justice, policy, housing rights, like just all these different realms of advocacy. I definitely noticed a lot of our entry level positions, a lot of our case managers literally just do not have the information they should be having. And I think that is where they fail us, but they're also failing themselves, like the providers themselves, the agencies themselves. And I wanted to speak to that because I think it's really important when we talk about accessibility, not only for the people that are our partners that are receiving services with lived experience, but our partners that are not at higher levels, that really it's on them to be sharing the proper information and the correct information and giving access to those who really need it so they can provide better services to their young people.
Thank you.
And
you guys can feel free to answer any questions and jump in.
Access was very limited. Like now coming out of that experience, like in 2025, we have a lot of resources and a lot of things that are on social media, and you can come here and get food, and you have like the community refrigerators and stuff like that. But like we have came a very long way in the past like 5 years or so, like because there was not really none of that, like not any resources to go to or no direction to really point you in. So I think that that's another thing that needs to be even more enforced, is just the accessibility to resources and just the word of mouth, just like she said, gatekeeping, not being afraid to tell somebody that's going through something where the resource is at, because why are we gatekeeping? But yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. Perla, how do you balance sharing your story with protecting your own well-being and boundaries? If anybody can answer.
Okay, repeat the question one more time.
Yes, sir. How do you balance sharing your own story with as well as protecting your own well-being and your self-boundaries?
Okay, so the nonprofit I previously worked with, Brothers and Sales Coalition, and like they work at 8 nonprofits. For the last 2 years, I've been helped lead a fellowship. It's a 10-week fellowship. We bring in 18 to 24-year-olds, teach them about the points of organizing, how they can like apply what they most enjoy and put it into action when it comes down to organizing. So like a lot of the youth who came through our program, like they started off enjoying photography, and end up working with other nonprofits we were part of, and they end up getting contracts to be the photographers when it comes down to the workshops and a lot of things that they're doing. But then other folks who were very much interested in medical practices, and they apply them when it comes down to reinventing the way that they want to push their practices by being more community care versus them trying to get a practice just off the base of the money. So like that point of that action, within these last 2 years, we've been applying wellness within our programming. And particularly like self-wellness and ensuring that you take care of yourself before trying to look after the next person. I think within a lot of times within my point of organizing, like we always think about how can we help the next person when we're worried about things are going back home in our own lives. Like currently right now, like my youngest brother lives with me because of my parents going through a divorce and them having their own domestic and problems. So I allowed like just particularly when like taking him in, like during our fellowship was still going on, I was coming up on our transformative justice and the wellness week coming together, and one of our petitioners, particularly this nonprofit called the Loves Foundation. So shout out to them. They work with a therapist-led nonprofit that kind of like comes to the community and ensure like folks know about self-care and how the safety care could take care of themselves, and apply that through like helping them with finding therapists within their communities, even like applying vouchers and et cetera. And they had this conversation and it was talking about like how do you prevent burnout for yourself while trying to create change for others. And like my answer to that was, I've never not thought about caring about the next person. I've always thought about how can I help the next person, and I worry about myself later on. And that's caused a lot of problems within my adulting stage. Even though I'm on slower doses of drinking than Mary Jane, but it was extremely hard during COVID, because I was like I was always on the ground trying to ensure that the youth had power, and they were still being seen during COVID when we were in a part of America where our current president wasn't trying to ensure that Black and brown folks were not being displaced and sent to places that they do not even remember where ever even been to. Even that's still even going on today. But like when like the petition said, well, like honestly, have you ever took a vacation? And I said, over the 15 years of me organizing, my vacation is usually a retreat that we go on for a weekend, and that's with the youth. I mean, that's my vacation, is me being with the youth. And she was like, look, I'm gonna make you do this. And she said right in front of my director, she was like, I want you to make him go on a vacation for the next week. Like, we don't want him answering no phone calls or nothing. If you get even an inch from an email from him talking about what's happening next week, you better shut it down, don't reply to or anything. Ooh. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try my best to not do any work. It worked, but it did not work. I was still worried about what is the youth doing? How can I help the youth? But it also allowed me, I was like, look, if I got to play the game, got to sit back, chill with my brother. I got to do things with my brother that I've not done with him, have done with the siblings between our ages. So like I'm 27 and he's 16. And it's like it's the age range. So like the things that like playing the game, going outside. I haven't been that athletic in the wheel, but I can still beat you in the run. And there ain't no losing no track star. But he a football player. And he was like, look, if I beat you, you gonna owe me 100 push-ups. You gonna go to the gym. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna see what we're gonna see. I did win, but I cheated a little bit. I cheated. I did trip him. It was a little soft. She was like, ooh, I'm sorry. But I didn't have to go to the gym, but I did do those 48 push-ups when I was like, look, I'm gonna give you this. And like just a joy in like us just being in relationship with each other and not worrying about what's going on with our family gave me more joy. And I was like, this is why I do this work, but this is the reason why I need to take more vacations.
I mean, you want to take me or not?
Look, we can go to Cuba, Hawaii. I'm like, the only thing I'm gonna say is my partner might disagree. That's all.
Okay. Next question, and for anyone, what strengths or talent do you feel the system overlooks in us as young, transitional age youth, or homeless?
Okay, I'm talking again. So I got ADHD, and look, it's very known. Y'all can see it. Like I love to talk, I love to move around. So I think, especially like within my transitional age from like adolescence to teenaging, to a teenager, like particularly with the school system, they always had a problem with you moving around too much, or you always have something to say. And I'm like, if I'm in school and you're asking me a question and I'm giving you the answer to the question, but also asking you more thorough questions, why are you getting irritated with me trying to be thorough with it? And that led to me a lot of times being kicked out of class because I love the debate sometimes. I love to debate the teachers. I'm like, especially when it comes down to history, I'm like, so this happened and this is how it went down, so how do we combat that when it comes down to how things are now? And they're like, oh, well, you just got to work out this way. It's like, no. How can I, as a youth in this current age, change the way history is being written when it comes down to black and brown folks in the future?
Hello.
And it's like, well, you're disturbing the class. You're doing too much. It's like, no, I'm being a student. I'm trying to, I'm being the, what is the word? Not the educator, not the disruptor, like, no, it's like you're being
The devil's advocate.
not the devil's. Oh, shoot. Like it's scholar. I'm being the scholar that you're asking me to be. Like there's all these books and saying scholar. So if I'm being a scholar and I'm trying to prove to you that I'm smart enough and educated enough to think about how can I change things, why can't you be the teacher to help me change that? Whether it's we're just reflecting on history. If you're saying that history is going to continue to be written, how can I impactfully make myself written the history in a positive way? Because I don't want to be there's no, I love, they say, the main character in the movie. I don't want to be the main character. I want to be the innovator, the changer, the one that whether it was in the background, did some type of change, but still left a mark within that. But yeah, I think I lost the question while doing all that.
I mean, I could ask it again.
Yeah.
Did anyone? Okay, it's the same question. What strengths or talents do you feel the system has overlooked in young people like us?
I think for me, it's like the resilience. You can't silence us. How emotionally tapped in we are. I think those three things are really big in advocacy and really big in our journeys and who we are as people. And I think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable that serve us, a lot of our elders uncomfortable. And I think they all really go hand in hand with each other because we're not silent. So that means our emotions come out, right? And we're like, okay, we're gonna always ask a question because we want answers. And I feel like a lot of people are used to not asking because what happens is that you're kids, you shouldn't be heard, you should only be seen. That very much plays into services that we get as young people. And I think that plays into peers, and peers think that, like, they only want to listen to their elders then, and then you have like peer-on-peer adultism, and that's where a lot of that comes into play. And I think since we always want answers, and we always are like, no, but that doesn't make me feel good. No, but that, like, we're just tapped into everything, and we're not going to take no for an answer. We're not going to take, oh, I'll let you know next week, or like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it another time. We're like, no, like, give me a time and date, give me this, give me that. Like, we are demanding what we should have. We are demanding what we should have. And it makes people so uncomfortable because a lot of people didn't grow up like that are now serving us. They didn't get the opportunity that they should have had to do those things, to ask those questions, and to be heard and to be seen. And I think for us, that's what makes us so powerful. And a lot of people just can't sit with it. I literally am doing a needs assessment right now, and I sat in a room with providers yesterday, and one of the providers that I've known for years is like, oh yeah, I would love to do that, but we can't do that because this person has to do this, and then they have to get trained in order to do that. I said, actually, 4 of us on our youth action board are already trained. Actually, we can do that. And it was a constant like, no, like, there's these barriers. And I was like, no, just listen. Like, this is literally how we did it. And one of his colleagues in the room is our coordinator, and she was like, oh yeah, they're all trained to do it. Like, what are you talking about? And it's just like that moment of like, just listen for a second, and you'll hear what we're trying to say, and you'll hear that it's actually possible before you automatically say no, 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 no. I love that you guys use disruptors because I love the word disruptor. I love disrupting. People are always like in the room like, oh my God, Perla, shut up. And I'm just like, no, because I don't agree with you. Like, no. So I would just definitely say those things are so big. Like, we don't stay silent, and it could be annoying sometimes. But in the advocacy world, in lived experience world, it is the most important thing when you do not allow yourself to be silenced.
Yes. Period. Okay, another question for anyone. Have you guys found healing or empowerment through any community, creativity, or advocacy?
Yes. So within Sanctuary of Hope, I'm very fortunate to have, like, they have a therapist. So navigating like survival mode and everything, coming out of homelessness, domestic violence, and everything like that has been a great help to me because just talking through, like, you never really know that you need therapy, or you never know the purpose that therapy will serve you until you really go through it. And so I think that I wouldn't really be here today without that aspect of the program. And then I feel like there's a lot of resources now. There's another partner program that I just went through called what's it called? Positive Results Center. They had like a mental health ambassador program where we met every Saturday. We did yoga. We talked about depression, anxiety, everything. They paid us. They fed us. At the end, like, we learned how to surf and everything. It was just like, it was really cool. And I just felt like there are programs that are coming through the woodworks, through the gaps, and filling the spaces that we need. We just really like have to find them, have to share them, like, and it's helping me thrive through my lived experience.
I love that for you. Okay.
Can I talk again?
Oh, go ahead, girl.
Thank you.
You said me.
I'm trying not to take up too much space because, like you, I could talk. I love to talk. I think I'm also doing the Positive Results Center currently in this cohort, and it is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that you mentioned them. Really shout out to them. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I think community. Community in any sense is really a big part of it. Your chosen family is a really big part of it. And I think a lot of my mentors, some of like my directors of programs, they became my chosen family. Like, now someone is my aunt, now someone's my sister, that's my cousin. Like, it literally became a family to me, and I think that is one of the most important parts of your journey. I think that's what really helped me through a lot of things, because I'm still healing. I still got anger issues. I still cry a lot about a lot of things. Trauma still shows up for me. I'm learning how to work through a lot of my experiences being lived experience and trying to transition out of survival mode my entire life, because I come from generational homelessness. My grandma was homeless, my mother was homeless, etc. I became homeless, so I'm trying to break cycles. So I would say that I'm still healing. I don't think I would be as far into my healing journey if it wasn't for my community, and that being literally everybody. Like, knowing that, my friends were dealing with similar things, knowing that it wasn't just me, that it was like alone in this whole thing where I'm like, am I crazy? Like, am I tripping? Like, what do I not understand right now? And it was people advocating for me, because although I became an advocate, it took a long way to get there. It took going through a lot of different shelters, a lot of different systems, and continuously being failed by people and by those systems for me to finally get to a point of where I'm like really solid into this. Advocacy at first was literally getting tapped into things for me was like, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm tired. I can't live in this shelter and keep advocating. And it was my community that's like, no, like, you got to keep doing what you're doing because it's important. You got to keep doing what you're doing because I know it's hard right now, but like, do you not just see you just help someone get into a program? Like, those things are powerful. And like, and then it was those people, young people, my peers being like, no, Perla, like, you're so resourceful. No, Perla, like, you're like, no, like, you just talked to me the other day. Like, you just had a conversation with me. I was angry and I was yelling and they were about to kick me out of my housing, of my DMH bed, and you helped calm me down. Like, just stay. Wow. And it was like people really just being like pouring back into me, because sometimes you need that. And I was doing a lot of pouring out, like you said. I was filling other people's cups and forgetting about mine. And it was my community that lifted me back up, especially when I went through crises. So I would say it is hard to open up sometimes. It is hard to want to not self-isolate, but it's going to get you so far when you have community.
Thank you for that. If it's okay, I would like to hear from all three of y'all. Looking back, what kind of support or resource do you wish you had at a younger age that could have changed your path? You guys can think.
Looking back at a younger age, I'm very like in tune with inner child and childhood, my own childhood trauma. So like I already know, like, but I think that like how Perla was explaining community, I think that it's a big part of my childhood lack, that I didn't have those people even in childhood to show up for me. I didn't have people with resources. Like she was also explaining that she's a, what are you saying, generational home? I'm a survivor of that as well, because my grandmother and mother went through it. So it was just like didn't have a family unit to even fall back on. So it was just like so many different things. But I think that just lacking unity and lacking that support system, and just my family was like really hard too. So it was always like, you better do it and you better get you know better, like don't be no dummy, like it was never really like, okay, like this is how you figure this out, and okay, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna hold your hand. So like even like getting kicked out, and that started like my own individual homeless journey. So it was just like community, unity, still working on that aspect as I go, but yeah.
Looking back, what kind of support or resource do you wish you would have had at a younger age that could have changed your path?
Okay, the support, because I had support lucky enough by the time I turned 13. So the support I wish I had my mother had was community. Like she did have a couple friends, but the one major thing about my mother is that she is dyslexic. So she doesn't learn fast. It takes her a while to learn. And she was bullied from a very young age, so she kind of had to, I hate to say it, she had to depend on men as her comfort when it came down to support and safety. And that led to, it led to her having seven beautiful kids. But neither one of my father figures, I'm like, even starting with mine, my father figure wasn't the best. I haven't even met my father yet. I'm still waiting on that moment. And like I said, I'm 27 years old, so it's a problem of hand. And I'm particularly with each one, like my father figures. Their family had a lot of hatred to darker skinned women. Yes. I appreciate it. And my mother always thought that, like, even though someone's hating on me, they're going to eventually love me at the end of the day. And that led to a lot of abuse between the families. And particularly with my father, and I'm like, his family, and if you see the way my name is set up, is Shaquan Joaquin. My father's half Cuban. His family, lighter tone folks, who straight said that they didn't want their son having a child with a Negro. And even hearing that and then seeing how my other father figures did the exact same was a problem. The reason why my mama had her beautiful 7 children, all mixed children. So just knowing that, like, she even tried to, like, okay, seeing that negative, and like her still instilling, like, look, I'm a beautiful black woman. I'm not gonna let this harm me. But I'm still going to depend on these men as my safety net was an issue. Because my grandmother, they weren't in her life. Like, my mother's from Louisiana. She came down here at the age of 15. No, she came at the age of 15? She came down here at the age of 5. And then she went back for a year and then came back to California. It's been here ever since. But it's like, that support system for her family wasn't needed, wasn't there. And then the men she was leaning on for that safety and care wasn't really there. And that led to a lot of problems within her life, and her kids growing up that in their very beginning stages, knowing that they needed to lean on themselves and that they had no one to really lean on, and then pushed out and displaced through foster care. I'm like, I was the only lucky enough child to stay within the family. All the rest of them were pushed to foster care across the country and weren't brought back to my mother until half of them were between the ages of 14 to 18. Wow. And they had already missed 5 to 10 years of time with my family. But I always knew about I knew about my siblings, and lucky enough my youngest brother was the only one raised by my mother properly. But it was if my mother had that safety net with her family being there, or even people within her community who actually probably liked her as a person and weren't trying to use her as a way of a game, was definitely, I think, definitely necessary. And it's that's a different issue when it comes down to transitional housing for women of color, especially when they're and this is speaking on homelessness and shelters. My mom went through a lot when it came down to her trying to get back her children. And her, particularly with the family not being there to help, it led to her having a very tough skin. A very tough skin when it comes to the meeting people and talking to others. So I'm trying to find the end of this. Come on, here we go. So for my mother, and I think even any black or brown woman out there who knows that there's people who are against them, they should look for nonprofits and centers that really support black and brown folks. And I know there's a lot of more work done for black and brown men, boys, but I think there's a lot more lacking when it comes to our women, and them having a safety net. So yeah.
Thank you for that. And now I want to move on with Q&A, questions and answers. And now we have Dwayne. He will be walking around with the mic. So if you guys have any questions for the panelists. Oh, get the mic. No, get the one in the panel. So if anybody has questions, you guys can raise your hand. Just see whoever. Oh, that in the back. Or anyone.
Hello? Okay. First of all, thank you all for sharing your stories and experiences. As it's been shared and mentioned, like, so important for us advocates to hear from youth directly. I think one of my questions is I'm a social worker who's supporting foster youth, and I think one of the biggest impacts of trauma, which I know Perla, you had briefly mentioned, is that something that trauma can kind of do is like push us into kind of like the state of like isolation, and where we can kind of be bombarded with these thoughts that like nobody's there for us, or nobody wants to be there, and sometimes those feelings can be so powerful and overwhelming, to where like as an advocate, even when I try to extend resources and support, it's hard to kind of pull someone out of that dark place. And so I'm curious, like, as an advocate, what can we do when a youth is in a dark place and it's challenging to reach them, challenging to support them, how to help in that moment?
That's a good question.
I'm really big on tapping back into our humanity of it all. I think when it comes to us as young people being in dark places, and honestly, a lot of people, sometimes people want us to feel better. It's okay, you'll be okay, it's gonna be okay. And sometimes we just need someone to sit there and just resonate with us. Like, just sit here and be like, it's not okay. Life is really shitty right now. Yeah, it's hard. You can be mad, you can be sad. Like, validate our bad feelings, or not our bad feelings, but validate our not so great feelings. Because I think a lot of people focus on wanting us to get out of those places, and sometimes we need to go through them to get over them. Sometimes we need to sit with the darkness for a little bit to actually see the light. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of just want to push us to be okay, and sometimes we genuinely just can't keep masking. We can't keep code switching. We can't keep doing all these things to make everyone else feel better, because sometimes people do that so much because they feel uncomfortable. Yes, they want to help, but also they feel uncomfortable with their people being so in the dark. So I would just say, tap back into that. Just sit with them. Just sit with them. Validate that things are not good, and also just build the relationship with them. Because resources are great, and sometimes we want all the resources, but sometimes we can't be accepting, we can't have our door open, have our hearts open, our minds open to all of that when we also don't feel a connection. I know, like, as a social worker, it can be hard because of like time restrictions and like confidentiality and stuff like that. But like just connect with your youth. Like, check in on them. Don't overbear them, but check in on them. Like, just have conversations. Like, do fun things with them. Introduce those things to them. Like, talk about the things that you like, that you may have in common. Like, introduce them to a new song. Like, really just be a human with each other and not a client and a provider. Period. That's what I would say.
Okay. So now we're running a little short on time, but
I just wanted to add, just remaining consistent. I think that in this time that we live in, it's easy to forget about somebody, especially how fast we communicate and how fast we're on to the next thing. So I think that consistency and like staying in their face, because in isolation you feel like, okay, nobody's there for me, nobody cares. So it's like you have to be that person that cares. You have to be that person that they know, like, okay, I can call on them, or I know that they're gonna be there, or I know, like, if I need a resource, they got my back, because it's easy to be like, oh, okay, you ain't responding to my text, I'm trying to send you this resource and you don't want to answer. All right, I'm cool, I'm on to the next case, because y'all have so many cases. But it's like, it's a human experience, it's a connection. Like, it's not just a paperwork, sign the paper and we done. It's not that.
okay. So we're running a little out of time, so we have 2 more questions. No, I'm just like. Oh, yeah, we need him to pick it up. Just trying to do one side, this side, and then that side. So everybody get it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm the program director at the Academy Project. We provide free after-school services for foster youth in Pico Union. To that point, do you, specifically in like middle school, which is our focus, do you feel like there are programs that you would have wanted when you were that age and kind of going through that would have helped you process what you were going through, or just make you feel more normal, like just like a kid?
Oh. Yes. So I went to Bethune, Markham. Oh my God! I'm a Bethune. I'm trying to name the historical woman of it. Was Bethune, Mary McLeod Bethune Middle School. Yes, on 69th and Broadway, not that far from here. Particularly with there was only one resources class that was there, and it was called not BSU, BMA. So Black Men Academy. It was particularly like allow the boys that were seen as troublemakers to have an opportunity for them to get re-engaged with the community and learn about a lot of things that have historically allowed Black and brown folks to kind of assail. I particularly wasn't involved in it because by the time I even learned about it, I believe it was getting ready to transition out. So probably only attended one class, but that one class enabled me to recognize once I got to 9th grade, once I graduated, I already knew what type of school I wanted to go to. And it really was like what I'm doing now, community action and research. So with that, I think that particular class was very much necessary, but what was lacking was the funding. I think there was only like 10 to 15 youth that were in the class, but there was well over 300 Black and brown folks at that school. If only 10 students are receiving this class an opportunity to go on these trips, to visit colleges, and they go to historical places across the country, why is there not being more funding dedicated to ensuring that more youth are involved in this? So I feel like particularly that funding was very much necessary. And I'm always going to fight for our feminine identified folks. A class particularly allowing a lot of our young women to learn about the early stage of teenagehood. It comes down to feminine care, as well as how to manage their cycle. Because I think a lot of youth at my school were a part of the foster care system, or like their family didn't particularly have like a proper mother figure within their family. Because just to be honest, just across the freeway, the women that they seen that they seen representing the community are sex workers. Because on the other side of the 110 freeway is Figueroa. It's particularly known for a lot of Black and brown women being out there on the street selling their bodies, because it's the only way they know how to care for themselves, because there is no proper woman out there. So a class would be provided for women on all the things to deal as a woman, as well as a support system, is very much necessary. So yeah.
Okay, and we have time for one more question.
First, I wanted to express gratitude to you 3 for sharing such vulnerable parts of yourself and the stories of your family. We don't take it lightly that, that could be challenging, but we just really appreciate you sharing this space with us. Also in encouraging us to either continue or in ways that we need to recognize that we can do better by young people that we're serving. My question is, what are you most looking forward to in the future, or is there something that you're excited about as it relates to programs you're involved in, advocacy work you're doing, or just where you are in life?
Okay. Right now, what I'm most excited about working with Sanctuary of Hope is right now we have the privilege to be putting together a documentary, so I'm working on that. Thank you. The documentary is surrounding the foundation of the civil rights movement, how it got started, and like the really unknown, untold stories of it and everything like that. So we had taken a trip down to Alabama where we were getting interviews from people that were like basically the foot soldiers of the movement and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. We are putting that together currently, and we have a conference in November to showcase it.
I love that. That's dope. I didn't even know that was happening at SOH. I'm tapped out. I think for me, I'm like a independent contractor and consultant, so I do like a lot of advocacy work in different ways. I'm like part of a lot of youth action boards. Shout out CYC's policy board. Woo. But for me, I am currently starting to figure out, like I said, I co-founded my own youth action board back in 2022. We are our third year of ongoing funding, so I'm really proud of us. Yes, we're on our fourth cohort of young people entering the Youth Action Board. So we are doing great, amazing things. We're powerful. I'm gonna give a shout out to them. They're powerful. My board members are powerful. But I think it's inspired me to want to start my own nonprofit. You mentioned programs that I want to include. There's so many programs that I think about to make us feel humans again. I talk about tapping into our childhood because a lot of us didn't get to experience our actual childhood. So I talk about making bracelets and making potions, which is like bath bombs and stuff like that. Like the fun things we used to do as a kid when we had the chance to, tapping back into all that. So I think about how I want to make us feel humans again. I want to create a third space that is safe, that is fun, that is comforting, where I can pay young people to show up. Because in our board, we pay young people for everything they do. We're having a Halloween mixer. Any young people that are out in Los Angeles, or if you want to come down for a Halloween party, we're having a Halloween event, and we're paying you to come. We're paying you to come have fun. It's a safe, sober space for our young people with lived experience of all sorts. And we do a lot there. We provide a full meal and everything. But I want to be able to compensate young people for their time, have fun, have programs that are intentional, meaningful. So I'm currently starting that process. And I'm so excited because I have so many young people that are like artists and stuff like that. And I get to tap into my peers and they get to utilize their skills. And it's going to be something really big and beautiful.
And with that, that's our panelists. Okay, we give it a hand for all panelists.
That's a wrap for this episode of Young People Lead Bridging LA. Thank you to all the panelists and the Conrad Hilton Foundation for providing funding for this project. Make sure to catch our newest episode when it drops on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.